Hey, been a while. So, sorry for the absence, I've been horrifically busy with work and other personal matters, and in fact, I'm still in quite a pickle right now, but I think I've let this channel rot for long enough, so we're back. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. I'll be making a video on the serif soon, probably. But as some of you may remember, I said I wanted to make more variety content because Balisong overviews are incredibly dry and overdone. No offense to anyone, of course. And to the rest of you, welcome. Let's begin. So, what comes to your mind when you think of a collection hobby? Some common ones that people can think of include comic books, fragrances, fucking Labubus. There's many more of course, but what do they all have in common? Well, there's a few things actually. But let's start with the biggest one. They get expensive. That's right. If you want to get deep into these collection hobbies and not be a fucking pleb, you gotta spend the big bucks. Now of course, you don't need to start with the expensive stuff, but it's a rabbit hole. Let's take fragrances for example. Your average person who calls these things perfume or cologne instead of fragrances would probably get by with a bottle of CK1 that their uncle gave them, and they'll be perfectly happy with it with their little bottle of smelly water without knowing what the hell a top note is. But once you get into the hobby properly, when you start learning about notes, what's blue, what's green, what's fresh, what's sweet, what's good for the summer, what's good for weddings, how about what's good for your wallet's fucking funeral? You see, fragrances start cheap, as with most other hobbies. But social media acts as an echo chamber, where once you get into the hobby, you will get stuff like Versace Eros, Encre Noir, Camera, all shoved into your face. Then you'll feel like, oh, these are fairly cheap and everybody loves them. I gotta get them. So you do. Then once you get past the cheapies, you start seeing stuff about Jean-Paul Gaultier, Azzaro, Chanel, Dior, the nicer designer brands. So you go out and get your Ultramal, Most Wanted, Aileron Sport. Then guess what? Now you start seeing stuff about niche fragrances. Kilian, MFK, Toscovat, Mancera. And so you buy your niche fragrances. Then you realize you're spelling a note that you've never heard of before. The blood, sweat and tears that went into making the money that you just spent on fancy alcohol sprays. Oh but wait, there is a fragrance for that. Why does this exist? And in the end, you're just gonna be rotating between a few cents anyways. So most of your money has kinda just gone to waste. Even if you sell your perfume now, the value is depreciated because it's already been used. So you're poor now. Congrats. Now let's move on to the next thing that collection hobbies have in common. Dupes or clones. Now I'm not talking about fakes or counterfeits. Fakes are stuff that are not manufactured by the original brand, that are meant to imitate it one-to-one and meant to deceive you. That is a whole other can of worms. What I want to talk about today are clones. Clones are, in some way, shape or form, distinct from the original, so that can be anything from the packaging to the internals. Most collection hobbies tend to agree that clones are a bad thing morally, but these clone companies are Robin Hooding their respective industries and letting people with less disposable income get into the hobbies, which again people can agree is a good thing. But one community, one that this channel is based on, has a very torn relationship with clones. That's right, we are talking about balisongs or butterfly knives. As with any other hobby, balisongs get much better as you spend more money. Of course, there is a point of depreciating returns, so for example, once you get to about 350 bucks, more expensive does not really equal to more performance anymore, but below that, that is the general rule. Obviously there are outliers, I'm aware, no need to lecture me, but let's get back on topic. Now, you may be perfectly happy with, say, a Nobel's Canyon for like 40 bucks, and that would be a fantastic value. But that pales in comparison to, say, a Kraken clone, a $220 Balisong for 20 bucks. 20 bucks, that's 200 bucks off. And we're not talking about a clone with catches like bad quality, visual deformities, horrendous performance, nothing like that. A Kraken clone from most clone companies are nearly 1-to-1 with the real thing, just with the clone company's logo on the blade. So, why would you not buy it? Well, the reason is simple. Morals. Clones are undoubtedly evil, profiting off the hard work that was put into designing, prototyping, and testing a product. They just steal the final blueprint and mass produce it in some Chinese company. But for some people, morals just aren't worth $200, and that creates a rift in the community. What doesn't help is that clone companies, like it or not, often do certain stuff better than the originals. For example, the Benchmade Necron is one of the worst spec'd Balisongs as of late, and it costs how much? So instead of buying a Necron from Benchmade, you can just get a clone instead for like $50, and it straight up has better specs. Titanium instead of steel, bushings instead of just bare washers. It's just better. You may hear people saying, oh, that's using worse quality metal. That's just wrong. Materials are materials. Grade 5 tie that's made in China is the same as grade 5 tie that you found in some star in the Andromeda galaxy. There is no difference. So, you can see why it's hard to take a stance on this topic. But the problem is that the big guys in the Balisong community are strictly against clones. Squid Industries, JK Designs, these guys hate clones, which is understandable because, they make the original products that get cloned. So, again, understandable. But you know what the problem is? Some of these guys control the subreddit, and by extension, pretty much the community. So that means if you consider yourself to be part of the Balisong hobby, and you enjoy your cloned Armshock Tsunami, fuck you, you are not part of this sacred community. Ring of shame yourself now. Obviously, tons of communities are like this, but the Balisong community has just been the most toxic in my experience. Now for the last thing that these hobbies have in common, the dreaded fear of missing out, or FOMO. Let's talk about this fucking thing right here, this absolute piece of shit. This motherfucker has done unrepairable damage to this goddamn generation. No offense to anybody who collect Labubus. Chances are if you're watching this video, you're sensible and you know what you're spending your money on. I hope. Anyways, these little cunts don't cost too much. At least compared to, say, fragrances or knives. Do you know why? Because they come in loot boxes. This is fucked up on so many levels. FOMO is a thing with any hobby, but when you can't even guarantee that you're gonna get the fucking thing that you're paying for, the thing that you feel like you're missing out on, the goalpost is gonna shift every single time you unbox something you don't want. That means you'll be in an endless rabbit hole of spending money trying to get what you want. That is literally this is gambling, come on! Children, or maybe not children, these teenagers or people around my age, like 20 years old, are getting into gambling in order to collect the Labubus that they want. Do we really want this to be like the future of our precious collection hobbies? Not being sure what you're even paying for? Fuck these things! So, this was quite a departure from my past videos, and I hope that you liked it. Feel free to leave any feedback if you have any, and if you like the video, you know what to do. If this video does even sort of decently, so like 100-ish, a few hundred views, I'll make a follow-up talking about the good parts of these hobbies, because believe it or not, there's some great stuff hidden beneath the piles of shit. So anyways, that should be all, I think. Yeah. Ciao.